Getting ready. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another Crystallized live stream. Today, as announced, I'm with Mr. Board, and we'll go through a bit of the concept of vouchers, as we have been in the past, I think, and we did that live stream together, Mr. Board, right?
Yeah, we did it, but that was before we released the GraphQL middleware, the service API.
Exactly, and it was also when we did it last time, we worked a bit with like not entirely the components that we have now, actually. So we didn't have numeric component and choice component and chunks. So we decided to show a little bit of like a combination of these new concepts with the service API. And essentially, just for reference for people that are watching and are interested, the code that we're going to be showing today, it's already up on GitHub. So every new installation or cloning of the service API has the same code that we're going to be looking at today, with the ability to fetch voucher codes and gift card codes, et cetera, from the Crystallized core. Awesome.
Yeah. I guess it's the same because you're just checking the service API for, is this a valid voucher? And then you get back the information.
Exactly. So it's because in the previous live stream with Håkon, we essentially showed how you can implement a very simple voucher logic. So you had a set of vouchers in the service API, where they were static. All right, it was they were hard coded in the service. So now we do exactly this combination of the previous two live streams, where you fetch data from Crystallized, but you essentially have that in the service API, and it can be dynamic as well. So shall we get started with an example, perhaps? Like so.
Yeah, maybe show how it. I mean, the end result, how it is for me as if I want to shop on this furniture store.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, yeah, this is as you can see, we're using the live the live web shop, and we're going to be checking also the live service API. So if you want to go along and check it along with us, then you're more than free to do so. So as usual, I would add an item to the basket, and I will proceed to checkout. I will fill out some information here, which is me. And I will do a voucher code, which I don't necessarily remember, actually, to be honest, which one is the newest one. So what I'll do is, as you can see, just check here really quick the code, and we'll go through.
Great.
Yep. All right, this could be applied. So essentially what this does is it goes in the backend. Sorry about that, typing. And it checks that this is case sensitive. That was the issue, of course. So it checks in the service API if this code is essentially exists in Crystallized. And if it does, then it deducts whether either a percentage or a standardized amount from the cart that we have. So let me just go and check out real quick with Stripe when it loads. So I'll just quickly show you like the full round trip and how essentially this looks in the backend after we place an order. It's pretty simple, as you can see. An item is added to the basket, which is it's a voucher product. So you can see it here in the order details. And if I go back to the orders itself, I have my order here with my voucher generated and persisted in the platform.
And also there, if you go back, you see that the actual voucher popped up as a product in the order.
Exactly. So it follows pretty much the similar idea we had the other time, where what is a voucher essentially can also be viewed also as a product with negative value as a price. So yeah, I think this is a pretty great approach. We'll discuss a few of the benefits of that for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much the end result, let's say. Maybe we can jump on and see a little bit how you can model this.
Maybe we could look first at the actual voucher, because now, and then we'll move closer to the code. Because now
you mean the product, you mean the actual voucher object, you mean, right?
Yeah, because here you can define multiple vouchers you want, right? And now you have this great deal, which is a product with an SKU. And also, I guess if you go down, you have the definition of, in this case, it's a 5% discount, right? That's why you got €3 discount in the previous case.
Yes, exactly. So, well, it's actually 5%. So it's the percentage of the item or the card entirely. So yeah, it sums up to 3% if you do the math. But essentially, the way that we model that in the backend in Crystallize is that you can essentially, using the exactly the new choice component, you can select between percentage discount or a static or like a fixed price discount that you can play around with. Yeah, so that's pretty much the object itself. It's really simple to implement. And if I head really quickly to the shape itself, as you can see, like we have a code here, which is the code that I used, a great deal 20 for the percentage, and the main part is this one, where you implement the discount by creating using a choice component that will allow you to define various different options. So here, what we have is a percentage numeric component and an amount which will be a fixed price static amount. And of course, when you go ahead and create a new voucher, then you will be prompted with the option to select between a percentage and an amount. And it's as you can see, pretty simple to choose between what you essentially want to select.
And of course, this is I see you've added also two components there, one for limitation rules and limitation grid, which is also covered a bit last time. And I guess that here is that you could, for example, give her a folder so that everything under sofas that be valid for this voucher, etc. So that you could make extra logic to limit, or you could add, let's say, dates, starting date. So what you're showing now is that it's not a button per se in Crystallized that says, okay, here you add your vouchers. It's more, again, back to being tailor-made and our internet craftsmanship story, where we would rather say, okay, what type of discounts or vouchers works for your business? And in this case, it's okay, we want a fixed amount, €5 discount or a percentage. And you could then add limitations. You could even use the stock information that you set to 999 now, I think, or something. But you could use it saying that there's only 10 available here, so that you could implement more specific logic on the vouchers here.
Yeah. So again, like using the shapes and the way that you want to model this, you can essentially, I guess, a nice way to put that is that you can define the business rules and implement them in the middleware, in the service API, since you get all the data there and you can manage that the way you want. So yeah.
So create another voucher, would that be possible? And
for sure.
I don't know. 20 discount?
Yeah, let's do that. So if I go to, because now we have defined the shape for a product. So this would be percentage 20.
Yeah, not percentage, but okay.
What do you want? Doesn't it?
20 euros off.
Oh, you want the, all right, cool. So fixed 20. You may have different pricing stuff. So if I do, or actually I found a better name. It's always good to do that. Save 20. So I do save 20. And I define an amount, 20 over here, and I publish this. So this should be instantly available in the API. So if I check, now I have also been using the live search API to just create a query just for reference and see that, all right, I can query that in whatever channel I want to be using this voucher logic. So let me just query that real quick in the service API. So if I do a voucher and you can see that in the docs here, which just to make it plain simple. So I can search for a voucher and I can provide a code, which will be say 20. And then in here, I will query for if it's valid and if it has all the voucher, let's say information, voucher, and I do discount amount and discount percentage. So we can see exactly what we get from the API itself. And we can see that, all right, we get a valid voucher and we get an amount of 20, fixed price, essentially, not a discount. So that means that if I go to checkout again, should I go again on checking out or?
Sure, just to see the round trip there. I mean, just add it to the cart list. And,
yeah, so let's just add something real quick. And I do, again, the same stuff. And I do my, say, 20 discount code. I get a 20 euros discount. So if I check out,
what you showed the logic actually being in the service API. This is kind of the point with, there's 2 points here. One is what we talk about in terms of buy commodity and build innovation, because you ideally want to have the business logic that is special for your business. And of course, now it's very simple vouchers, but it could be progressive discounting based on the stock. For example, if you want to sell out all of the spring t-shirts before the summer collection is kind of your store, etc. So this is where we will be able to even add dynamic pricing, so that you could say if you would have instead of having a fixed amount, you could from 1 to 90% based on due date that you want to sell out the inventory, and then you can do progressive discounting during this period. And also then, since it's available in this API, you can really use this in your web, in your app, in any channel. So you kind of centralize this business logic for you.
Correct. And it's it's just like you said. So everything is centrally handled via the service API. And that's what we have been showing also in the past. So essentially, when we initially released the service API, you had like a voucher service, which is what we're using today as well, with some standardized hard-coded values, which were these ones. And I remember, like in the last live stream, Håkon went ahead and created a great or super awesome or something like that crazy deal that gave you a crazy discount amount. So just explaining the code a little bit, it's essentially you can find all the services of the service API in the folder services, and underneath the voucher service, you got 2 files, index and the crystallized voucher example. So in the index file, essentially what you have is the static code that we had, or the static hard-coded values that we had defined the previous time. And now what you also do, as you can see here, is that you can fetch all the vouchers from Crystallize directly. We'll go through the query. And then you essentially just combine that with the static vouchers. And of course, you can just avoid the steps by removing that piece of code. And when someone essentially queries for the code, you check if the voucher belongs to either the already static registered vouchers or it's something that exists in Crystallize. And if it does, then you deduct or send back the appropriate result. So if I head to the Crystallized voucher service, which is the more, let's say the cooler one, the cooler part, the idea is fairly simple. It's exactly the query that we showed earlier. So just by reading a little bit the code, just to understand the GraphQL behind that, and just to clarify, this is exactly what's been sent to Crystallize. So this is the query to the Crystallize catalog API. So I can read here that I'm searching for all the items under the vouchers folder, right? And then I am getting back the name of these items, which essentially are the vouchers, right? And I'm specifically looking for a component with the ID code to get the code, and the discount component and get the discount. And in there, since this is a choice component, I'm looking to find the numeric fields of that component. And again, this is the percentage discount or the fixed amount discounts. So essentially, I'm getting these two items back from Crystallize. And then there is some very simple logic that, of course, can be altered to match what you said, right, Bort? So this is where you would maybe check for which voucher is active until that date, or any additional information you want to check if this voucher is applied to this set of products or to this specific folder or something like that under this path, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
for example, if you use a brand to relate all your products that is from a specific brand, you can make a discount now. Brand A gets 20% discount, but only this weekend. So you can easily make these kind of models.
mm-hmm.
And it's up to how you want to run your online business. And you have full freedom here in building out this service API. So it's really simple to model what you need in Crystallize and then add the business logic here in the service API. So it gives a lot of freedom. And again, this is where the uniqueness of your business, where you can tweak it if you want to sell based on seasons, or if you're doing personalized discounting, or whatever the model that you want to take is, this is where you add it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, I think that the code is it's really clean. So bravo to Håkon, who got this going. It's very simple and very extendable. I mean, as you can see, it's very easy to understand here that, all right, it's looking for a percentage, and then if it's a discount percentage or a discount amount, then fetch this value back to the as the amount deducted. So here, if essentially you had a few more components like the date component, then you just need to update the query here to, apart from fetching the discount component and the code one, you can additionally fetch the dates or the relation component with all the items or the folders that you need, or the topics if you need to connect in a more generic way with various items, or maybe like Mr. Bort said, with brand, or anything like that, or seasonal or stuff like that. So you can essentially enhance this query to get all this information out and handle that in here in this piece of code. Get back a valid or an invalid value over here, and then essentially return to your front end the result. So that's pretty much the idea code-wise. Pretty simple, pretty powerful. I think maybe we can mention, Mr. Bort, like I guess people by now probably know how to extend the shape. But for the ones that have not experienced it, maybe I can enhance, let's say, the shape for a voucher just to be available until the date or something like that, that we just showed really quickly. So if I go to shapes, I can, as you can see, this is basically what we showed earlier with Mr. Bort. And if I want to extend my voucher to a specific date, I simply just create a new component, which will be valid until. And this is a very simple date component. So I update the shape, and now all my vouchers have an additional date they are, let's say, available until. So if I go back to my products and my catalog and my vouchers, and I go to my save 20 voucher, I have a date that this could be available until. So let's say that I want that until next month. So let's say April 1st. And now if I fetch my information properly and I apply the proper logic in the service API, then I will have essentially my voucher available until that time. Otherwise, it will be returning an invalid result.
And this is, I guess, also the point with the service API, that you have one centralized place that you have all of this business logic.
Exactly.
Not connected to the different front ends. They're
the code is the same, so that's the part. So they will be only using this one.
Yeah,
that's what they will do always, no matter if it's a, you know, we've talked about that, like a NextJS app or your mobile application, right?
and this is also, just to talk briefly about the other services in the service API. This is also where you do basket validation, etc. So that it's a possibility for you, and you know, the pricing here is also something that you can modify in the service API. If you want to have a more complex pricing model based on a membership price, if you're logged in, for example, things like this, you could easily then make it one place centrally, and it will apply for any channel. So it's really a clean way to separate the front ends from the business logic that is specific to your business.
Exactly.
That's the whole idea with the service API.
And I think the nice part here, I find it like really nice to mention, is that it's modeling out a voucher like this is not the only way, right? So there are certainly some pros of modeling it as a product itself, because you know, it's just like we said, you can limit essentially the amount of available codes, or you can track essentially how many of them were used in an amount of time, you know, things like that. But nothing stops anyone from using it or modeling it as a document, for instance, right? So you can definitely follow this pretty similar shape for a document. You can make it available or unavailable very easily by just let's say unpublishing it from the catalog. It's very simple. So if I just unpublish it here and I go ahead and just check it again, then I get an invalid voucher. So very simple to just you know, have some processes that we just see that fit our model in our case. So yeah, I just like the idea. I just want to point that out, that essentially you can have many ways available or non-available.
Yeah, and I think let's do a follow-up on this, but more related to bundles, which is another way of kind of discounting, because then we bundle products together and or call it options. So the discounts based on if you buy these two plants together, for example.
Yeah. And I think the cool idea there is that you can also like, depending on how you model the bundle, you can of course track stock independently, right? So it's yeah.
Hoping for another day, but yes, let's do one example on that also, because it's quite frequently asked in terms of bundles, and we see that we typically end up building quite complex and tailor-made bundles. So it's different if you're selling, you know, shoes or flowers or cars or whatever products you're selling. The way you bundle it is typically quite different, and you might have specific business logic for that. And that's also the thinking, again, with the vouchers. We showed some examples here, but of course, it's the idea with Crystallized is you want to tailor-make this so that it's specific and fits your business. And this is where you can differentiate. And remember, you buy the commodity, but you build innovation. And this part is where you can differentiate on. I mean, if you just do 20% for Black Friday, it's a simple thing, but there might be some opportunities there for more specific and smarter discounting.
Yeah, and now jumping subject, but I just saw that in the chat there's like a really interesting question. I think it relates pretty much to the date. Just so we answer it. I mean, so there's a question about how you can you know, create a voucher that's available only for a single day, like just 1 day a year, like a Black Friday. So I guess this pretty much refers also to this guy, right? Yeah. So the date that it will be available on that date only. So you just select a single date, And that's pretty much it.
Probably rename the field here, the component, so it's not valid
Yeah.
until.
Yeah, for sure. You're totally right.
But it's, of course, you could, the name of that is just semantics, but it's always to have that, so it's easier to understand. So available on this day only.
Yep.
And then of course, if you switch to the service API, there's two things you need to do there. You need to fetch it as you show in the GraphQL query, so you have the data API, and then you just check if the current date is that date, and then you're home free.
Exactly. And of course, you can get you can check out just for reference for the guys that may want some more like a custom field. You can always prepare the query in the catalog preview here, right? And then just copy that query, get it in the code, and you're pretty much ready to go. Just check out and roll with the data you get. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Håkon is also answering, I think, the the questions, which is nice. Thanks, Håkon. So yeah, I'm not sure if I have something else to show here.
I think, but maybe if there's questions on a different type of discounting or vouchers that you have questions on how to model this, we're happy to take a scenario and model it out and show how we can build it in the service API. Because is really not trying to fit your business into the standard Crystallized logic. It's more how do you want it to work, and then we tweak the model and the service API to work exactly the way you want, so that there's no compromise on the business layer.
Awesome. So yeah, feel free to reach out actually if there is any of these examples that you're interested in, or you have maybe issues or troubles thinking about how you can model it in Crystallize. Happy to help and happy to also show how this can be done also in code, perhaps in the service API. Totally very interested always. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you in the next week, I guess, with another concept. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so thanks for joining. And for any questions, just feel free to reach out. And yeah, have a great day.